hair is standing on end just thinking about it. My hair is standing on end just thinking about it. My hair is standing on end just thinking about it. My hair is standing on end just thinking about it.
Hi.
Catarina, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? All right. Is it okay?
I can hear you perfectly. Where are you?
I'm actually at the stadium.
Oh, I love it.
I ended up meeting with my parents, and we got stuck in the metro because the French metro is interesting. So I ended up having to take it in the stadium. Yeah.
Hey, give us a tour. What are we doing? You give great tours.
I mean, yeah. So this is the entrance.
All right.
This is the row. So if we walk a little closer, you go up the steps. I'm sure you can hear that they're actually announcing a medal ceremony right now,
Okay.
and that's the crowd.
Love it. I love it.
And I'm a fair bit away, and you can hear them from out here.
That's
You
a
can
big
actually
crowd.
when you're warming up, you can hear them from the warm up area. It's very cool. It makes for a really good warm up.
That's good. Is the warm up area underneath the stadium, or is it like adjacent to it?
It's adjacent.
Very cool. So we're already
So
right into the show. By the way, here we are.
awesome.
We just dove right in. So, world's greatest live stream show. We are back. We have Catarina with us today. So, just to let everyone know, I'm Bob Ciosic. I'm founder, CEO of World's Greatest. We make cool content with Olympic and Paralympic athletes. And Catarina, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name is Catarina Guimaraes. I also go by Cat. I am a first-time Paralympian. I had my Paralympic debut here at the Paris Olympics. I competed in the 100, the 400, and the long jump. I am 8th in the world. Let's see. I've also competed in soccer for U.S. soccer. I'm a World Cup MVP and soccer World Cup winner. A Parapan silver and bronze medalist, world championship athlete. I made my world championships debut this year also. I'm 20 years old, and I'm excited for a lot more great things to come.
Man, you're already bringing in hardware and playing all different sports at an elite level. All right. So, what has been your favorite thing so far about the Paralympics? And because you've had so much fun, your posts are so fun. But what was your favorite of all?
I gotta say, my favorite moment was yesterday in my direct heat. There was a French athlete, and when they called her name and announced that she was competing, just the volume of the stadium was shaking with enthusiasm. And I don't use that term lightly. Like, I could literally feel the air shaking. It was deafening in there, how loud and how encouraging it was. And just to be able to be there and witness it, and while they weren't directly cheering for me, just to know that that volume of people were there and were watching was, I think, the most incredible thing ever.
That is awesome. I mean, when you talk about an electric crowd, that's what that is, right?
That's about as electric as it gets. I don't know how you would top that.
Well, I guess we'll find out next time.
Yeah, right.
I
We'll
want to
find
hear.
out in LA.
We'll find out in LA. I want to hear what were you thinking when you first knew you made the Paralympic team this year.
So when I first made the team, I honestly thought I was gonna cry, but it almost felt like relief when they called my name. Well, okay, so the way they make the team is there's standards and percentages. So me and my dad pretty much had an Excel spreadsheet. We knew where I was. So when they called my name, I had already known that I made it, only because they go in alphabetical order, and there were people whose last names started before mine who were below me on the list. So when they called their name, I actually was like, oh, okay, I'm good. I made the team. And it was almost like just relief, but also so much excitement, because I was just like, all right, cool. I'm here. Now let's see what am I going to do with this? And I have this problem where I accomplish something, and then I immediately am like, all right, now what's the next thing? And it was like, I had to just sit there for a moment and just like sit with the accomplishment that I just made my first Paralympic team. And it was a pretty special moment.
That's this is like a common theme with elite athletes, right? We had Peyton Otterdahl on. He's a Olympic shot putter. He's won bronze, 2-time Olympian, and he's like so he's been like on the both sides of the fence. Like he knocked out someone to get his bronze medal in Tokyo, but this time he got knocked out and finished fourth. So I'm like, he's like, Bob, if I got third, I probably would have been like, man, I could have got that silver. He's like, we're always one step ahead. So, what is that fine balance? And should I call you Kat or Katarina?
Whichever one you prefer. I pretty much respond to
Okay.
both. Want to call me Kat?
I'll call
Totally
you
fine.
Kat. So, Kat, what is that fine balance to find between kind of like being satisfied, enjoying that moment, enjoying that accomplishment, and then also going, there's still more? Where does that fine line kind of live for you?
I think it's something I'm still learning. When I was younger, I definitely was always about the next thing. Like, whenever I accomplished something, I always wanted the next one and the next one, and the next one. And this year in particular, I've learned to just be in the moment and to accept the wins and the losses as they come, and to be okay with just sitting with it for a second. Being like, yes, okay. Like my performance at this games, for example, like it wasn't what I wanted, but I was also really proud of myself for coming out here, putting out my best, and it just didn't happen to my best just didn't happen to land where I wanted to land. And it was like, okay, like just because I'm disappointed with the results from a competitive standpoint doesn't mean I'm disappointed in myself. I'm still proud of myself, and I had to let myself almost like say it to myself and be, listen, this is something to be proud of. You don't have to worry about the next step right now. Just be in the moment. Enjoy the crowd. Enjoy seeing yourself on the big screen. Enjoy the energy, because you don't get that every day. So really the balance comes in just staying present and staying in the moment.
That's cool. That's cool. No, I mean, I think that's like really important for everybody, right? I mean, staying in that moment, feeling what you're supposed to be feeling, and then obviously still you have that drive for the next, because we always want to be more than what we are,
Right.
right? So all right, so we do this with everybody. I'm getting out my stopwatch.
Okay.
Okay. And uh so here we go. Give me, and try to put in as much as you can, your life story in 60 seconds. Ready?
Okay.
Go.
So I was born 9 weeks premature. I spent a lot of time in the NICU. My mom, immediately when I started walking, was like, oh my goodness, something's wrong. The doctors called her neurotic. And then we went to Portugal and we found out that I actually had cerebral palsy. Fast forward a couple years, my mom enrolled me in Taekwondo because she was like, my daughter's going to have to learn how to fight eventually. Might as well make it physical. So I spent 10 years in Taekwondo. When I was 12 years old, I joined my first track team just for kind of funsies, and I beat all the boys, and it was the best thing ever. And I decided that I really liked beating people, so I tried to train a little bit harder. In 2018, I made my first international team in Ireland. I got 2 silvers, and then the year after that, I made the Parapan American team. I got 2 bronze medals, and that was the first year that I would say I really trained. Then COVID hit, everything kind of shut down. I was an alternate for Tokyo, 3 spots away from making the team. It was devastating, and I decided that I was going to put my all into track. After that, I was spent a year and a half at High Point University. Decided that that wasn't the environment for me. That wasn't the coaching for me. I needed something else. Left, moved to New Jersey, or moved back home to New Jersey in January, and decided I was going to try my luck making the Paralympic team. I made my first World Championships team, and I made my first Paralympic team in the same year.
All right, you ready for your score? Minute
Um,
14.
Whew,
It's not bad. That's not bad.
I
So
tried.
Chase Jackson has both the longest and the shortest. She went about 2 minutes, and then Beatrice, she went super short, like 32 seconds. But then I let her go again to add on to it, and then she got in around 57. But Rose Hollerman, the wheelchair basketball player, she's currently number one in this little game that we're playing. We don't know what everyone's going to win, but Rose had a 58-8-6.
Oh wow, okay.
Pretty impressive, right?
That is pretty impressive. Yeah.
So I didn't. All right. So we're in New York City. I'm sitting here in Soho right now. So where were you in New Jersey? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Cranford, New Jersey.
Okay.
So exit 137 for those who know the Garden State Parkway. I call it Central Jersey, but depending on where you are, you also call it North or South. Yeah, that's pretty much where I grew up. I spent all my life there, and then in 2022, I went down to North Carolina for college. And those are, I'd say, the 2 places I've lived thus far.
Yeah. The and so are you working with Coach Mack now?
Yeah, so I've been working with Coach Mack. I've been out to California a few times for rotations, and I'll work with him when I go out there. But I definitely, in the past 2 months, have been working really closely with Coach Mack. He's been writing my programming, and he's definitely been there for me, been a huge part of why I performed the way I did, and as well as I did here.
So we've had a number of different athletes on, right? And talk to us a little bit about CP and how, like, where you fit in kind of the different classifications, and
Right.
then how it affects you as an athlete.
So in that's an interesting question too, because in soccer and in track and field we have classifications. So in track and field I'm a T38, which basically means I'm the most able of the cerebral palsy classifications. However, in soccer there's three and I'm a two, which means I'm in the middle. So I'm not the most able on a soccer standpoint, but I am on a track standpoint, which I don't understand completely. I kind of just deal with the number that they give me, and I'm like, well, that's what I am. The thing about cerebral palsy, it's kind of a constantly changing, constantly evolving disability. So you'll find a lot of people with cerebral palsy will maybe shift in numbers as they get older or younger, or as they go through the sport. So we have this thing where we're up for review after a certain period of time, and that's why you'll see athletes like Nick Mayhew, or like there's other U.S. athletes who haven't
Right.
made it that I know of that have changed numbers multiple times just because of the nature of the disability. Cerebral palsy, I'd like to think of my dealings with cerebral palsy as almost like a jack of all trades kind of situation, where you, if you look up the disability and you see like what can possibly affect you, I have about 70% of those conditions. It affects both of my legs and my left arm. My left side more severely than my right leg. I experience spasticity, clonus. I have a muscular difference from one leg to the other that's pretty severe. I have extreme tightness in my limbs. I have what else do I have? There's a lot of things. Strength differences, muscular differences, fatigue. I experience chronic fatigue and chronic pain. So on pretty much a daily basis, I'm just in some type of pain. I actually am in more pain sometimes after days that I don't do anything, just because of the nature of the ability is that when the muscles aren't used, they will atrophy within hours. Like it is a very quick, very drastic change. Flexibility has always been an issue for me, and toe walking, especially. So my left heel almost never touches the ground. And let's see, I think I have temperature issues, so I don't have thermoregulation. So as an athlete competing in cold or hot climates, sometimes that can be an issue. My internal temperature regulators won't regulate themselves, so I will either overheat or be way too cold, and my body won't change itself to like your body starts shivering, you start sweating to make sure that you can do that. And by the time my body realizes that it's too hot or too cold, it's like too late to have to make a difference, kind of. Yeah, and I think
Wow.
that's about it.
That's amazing. That's so much. It's like almost incomprehensible then. So as an what's fascinating is you said a lot of times it gets like worse or triggered when you're not doing things. So on one hand, you're pushing your body, right, and asking your body to do so much as an athlete, but then you do need rest for recovery and all of that. So it sounds like it's just like this really complicated balancing act that you're constantly regulating, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's always been like a really big learning experience. Like when I'm presented with new like environments and stuff, I almost never know how my body's like. I cannot predict how my body's gonna react, just because it sometimes it's okay, and then sometimes it's like nope, that was not it, and it will just shut down on me. Like my nervous system will just be it leaves the chat.
So what does let's talk about the idea of sports because you've played so many already. What does sport mean to you, and what how has it kind of helped you as a person and helped you with this disability?
Well, sport has given me the confidence in myself and my body to just be able to do things. Like as a college age person, a lot of my friends are in college and they like to go out and do things, like they'll go to the skate park or they'll go to the trampoline park, and sport has given me this confidence where I'm like, I can participate in activities and I don't have to be afraid of my disability holding me back. too much. Like, obviously there's certain things that it's not gonna execute something the same way an able-bodied person is, and that's just a reality of life. But it's given me the confidence to be okay with that, and to be like, yeah, no, I can interact with these normal people. I can be part of this normal society and fit in with them, and I'm not a hindrance. I'm not holding people back. I'm not the reason why my friends won't go out. I'm not left alone doing my own thing while they do something. I have the confidence and the ability to go out and do things, even though it just might be a little bit more challenging. Sport has allowed me to just gain the strength and the confidence to do that. And growing up in sport has been honestly the best thing for me ever mentally, especially going into Taekwondo. It taught me the discipline to know how to treat my body and how I wanted my body to feel. And then also the discipline to be like, this is good for me, this is bad for me, and to understand that in order to treat my body the way I want to and to love myself the way I need to be active.
Yeah, we had I don't know if you saw the first show, we had Brianna on the show, Salinero, and I wanted to do that to show people not everybody makes the Olympic team or the Paralympic team, and not everybody wins a medal, and it doesn't mean that you're a not a great athlete, right? The timing may just not have come together when you expected it to, right? Um, but so I like telling stories and getting to know athletes, no matter kind of who they are or where they are, right? And so it's important for me to bring Brianna on. I learned so much from her in that first episode. It was incredible. But she also was a Taekwondo athlete. Did you guys compete together at all?
No, so I never competed in para sport in Taekwondo. My Taekwondo was just like a local studio.
Okay.
So it wasn't, we never competed with each other.
Yeah. The So as such an all-around athlete though, what are your favorite aspects of the different sports, that you've played or maybe still want to play?
Well, I like track because my performance is directly because of me. Like, a win or loss is because of my performance. I control myself, and that's all you need to control in track and field. Same thing in Taekwondo. You only need to control yourself. But in a team sport like soccer, there are so many other variables that it's impossible to control, and a win or loss may not be your fault, and it may be your fault, but there's no way to know because it's a team, and you all have to work together in order to win or to lose. Like, it has to be, it's a group effort. But the thing with soccer is there's a lot more creativity and a lot more freedom and a lot more like thinking on the fly. Track and taekwondo are very like routine. You pretty much do the same thing. You don't really want to deviate too much, especially when it comes to competition. I mean, in track you're running in a straight line,
Yeah.
so that is about as simple as you can get. But in soccer, like, you zigzag, you do cool moves. You can have a little bit more fanfare. I mean, the cool thing about the long jump, I would say, is that you can bring a little bit more of that creativity in, and you can play with the crowd and do stuff like that. But yeah, I would say those are the two biggest differences: is like the creativity and the togetherness of team sports versus in track. It's you yourself. It's me, myself, and I control what the outcome is. And if it happened to be not my best day, I can't really blame anybody but myself.
Yeah. I think a lot of that's what I've seen, and that's what I think a lot of athletes how they think about it. You we've done a lot of work with Devin Allen over the years, and he's co-hosted with me on a lot of these live streams, and I'm like, so what really is the difference between NFL as a wide receiver and 110-meter hurdle? He's like, Bob, I'm just honestly just running around out there. He goes, that's the one in football. He's like, you're really just kind of running around and making a lot. You have tons of plays to learn, but you're still just kind of running around. He's like, it's so different.
Right.
He's like, I got every one of my steps down in track. I know exactly how to the parabola going over the hurdle and all that kind of stuff. But there is something pure about track and field like that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to you.
that level of emotion. Like I think at my first World Championships, Coach Mac was my coach, and he asked me what I was focusing on, and I started listing out everything in my jump, and he was like, "No, no, 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 no. That's for practice. At a meet, you use your emotion and maybe like one thing, but you're really. I like to think of it as like you're racing, you're jumping, you're throwing. You're throwing with your heart. You're racing with
Hmm.
your heart, and that's as pure as it gets. Like, and sometimes it may not be your time, and that's okay. That's the nature of sport, but that's why it's almost so emotional and so visceral when you watch like track meets, when you watch the Olympics, when you watch the Paralympics, because you know that every single athlete that lined up on there, they lined up with their heart,
Yeah.
not with their
Yeah.
brain or anything else.
That's a great way to put it. We had Jeremy Campbell on a few episodes ago before he won his fifth gold medal. Unbelievable. And I was asking him, you know, and I'm going to ask you this question in a minute, but I was asking him what it takes to be, the greatest. And he talked about, he's like, first of all, Bob, you got to remember 5 Olympics, I'm a different person each time. And so he's like, I had different thoughts, different feelings. And he's like, but this time around, I really had to figure out why I was doing this. And then he's like, I just simplified everything. So he was doing kind of what Coach Mack is at. Like he just really simplified it all down. And I think mindfulness for him played a big role in how he approached this, this Paralympic Games. But how much of that kind of mindfulness side and kind of mental health do you bring into prepping as an athlete or training as an athlete?
I mean, so much, like so much of especially track and field, it's so mental. It's more mental than it is physical at times. Um, you there are times where you can get on the line, and if you're thinking a certain type of way, you've already lost. There's no hope for you. And I spent a lot of seasons in that train of thought. Like I would come to meets and I would do pretty well at the time. Like looking back, I did pretty well, but I would just berate myself the whole time and talking negatively to myself, like because I wasn't where I wanted to be. The stadium was very loud.
Crowd's going crazy.
Um, because I wasn't where I wanted to be. Whereas this season, I think mentally, I have grown so much in terms of I can now be okay. Especially, I'm gonna bring back the long jump just because that's my baby. That's my event, and I really you have 6 jumps, and there's a lot of times where you're on that last jump and you're like, oh my goodness, what you're thinking on that last jump matters so much. What you're saying to yourself. Because if you're saying, I need to do this, I can't foul, I have to do this, like all these things, you're not the jumper you need to jump. You need to be thinking, I got this. I'm still in this competition. I have the chance to win. Like it's how you talk to yourself, and that is part of the mental preparation. It's learning how to talk to yourself, what you yourself need, because everybody needs to talk to themselves a different way. We're all different people, all different athletes, and it's how you talk to yourself leading into and throughout the competition that separates gold, silver, bronze, and last.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Hey, by the way, how how did the scooter work out?
Oh, the scooter was great. Great.
I thought that was genius. When I'm like, oh my god, yeah, you don't want to
And
be on your feet all the time, and you could
oh
do
my
little
I
sightseeing.
so much walking. It was way too much. I was like, I need to figure something out. The scooter ended up being the best thing.
Did you get a deal from the scooter company?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, that would have
Okay.
been.
Okay, so text me the brand, and we're gonna try to figure something out. That's because you gave them a good amount of content right there. So
I think so. It was I. The beeping definitely caught me off guard, but we figured it out, and it ended up being really valuable.
yeah, that was pretty cool. You've had so much fun though in your posts. Like when I first reached out, I'm like, oh god, we have to have Kat on the show. Like you're such a natural on camera, and you love having fun with people.
Thank
So it was really fun and entertaining just to kind of watch all of your posts. The
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I mean it's the essence of who you are. I can tell already, like just in this half an hour chat. And the so let's go back to that question though. What does it take to be the greatest?
You know, I would love to answer that question, but I'm not the greatest yet. I don't know if I can answer that. I'm still working on what it takes. I think it's an ever evolving. The greatest is always changing. The greatest today is not the greatest tomorrow. So right now, the greatest takes everything you got. What it takes to be the greatest is to be able to basically take apart everything that you've known and rebuild yourself without knowing what that new person is going to be. You have no idea. And it's being okay with not knowing who you're going to be in 6 months. And I think that
Yeah.
that's what it takes to be the greatest.
You know, it some disabilities are more obvious than others, obviously, right? To you can see the differences. But to with CP is kind of interesting because you don't you can't always see it, right? And so you again, you as an athlete, and again, no shade to Olympic athletes or able-bodied athletes, but you're dealing with two things. One thing is the athlete and the athlete mindset and the athlete body and performance. The other thing is the disability. But so it's almost like you're doing twice the work to get this performance. Do you want to just talk a little bit about that, about kind of what us viewers don't really know about how much goes into what you have to do?
Yeah, I mean, I like to. There's a theory that I really like to use. It's called, when I'm explaining to someone who doesn't know my disability, it's spoon theory. So take spoon as energy, right? And you have a certain amount of spoons on any given day. And say, like, you're given 20 spoons for a day. That's your daily allotment. And say getting up, getting ready, taking a shower, making breakfast, all those things. Say that's about 2 spoons, right? For an able-bodied person. For someone with a disability, that can be 4 to 5 spoons because it's not just getting up and getting ready. It's, for me especially, it's getting up. Okay, my legs are really stiff. I'm not going to make it down the stairs. I need to stretch. So I need to sit here for a moment and let my body get used to being awake and stretch, and maybe even do like a Normatec, or maybe even do some massage gunning on my like hamstrings or something, because they may not feel the greatest. And okay, now I'm up. Now I've made it downstairs and I'm cooking breakfast, but like I can't reach down to get the pots and pans because my back is hurting from a training session yesterday, because my alignment is off, right? So I'm constantly twisting. So now I can't get down to get the pots and pans, so I have to figure something else out. I can't make eggs, so I have to figure something out of the fridge. Maybe I have some fruit, maybe I have some cereal, and there's just so many extra steps, and they're small, but when you think about the spoons, right? So for an able-bodied person, that's 2 spoons. Now I've used 4 spoons, which means they have 18 spoons left, and I have 16. Now you talk about driving to training or something. For me, driving is a lot more complex than for an able-bodied person. Yes, I can drive. I passed my test. Like I'm a good driver, but it takes much more mental energy because I have to be focused. But also for me to neurologically connect with my foot on the pedal is extra effort, and it's a little bit harder. So driving is like 1 spoon for an able-bodied person. That's 2 spoons for me. So now I'm down to 14. I haven't even trained yet.
Yeah.
And I would say that's the difference. It's the little bit extra every day that honestly you don't realize until you've gotten to your end of the day and you're just, battery is gone, everything is gone. And especially for someone with cerebral palsy, I spend a lot of my time what I like to call mimicking. So I am really good at compensating and making my disability look very invisible. If you saw me walking down the street, you would not be able to tell until I run out of spoons. And then
Mm.
look around my teammates, it's like I immediately go down like 3 classifications. I go from a 38 to like a 36. I start walking and they're like, "Oh my goodness, what happened to you?" And I literally just have to be like, "I ran out of spoons." Like I now no longer have the brain power to walk normally, to be able to motor through the day. I don't have that anymore.
So even that brain power sending the signals of what you want to do when you're saying, walk normally, right? That's you're trying to compensate for what CP does to your body, right? So is it like sending multiple signals? It's just more focus that you have to put on. But then again, like you're saying, you're out of spoons, so it doesn't matter how much you're focused now because you're out of spoons.
Yeah, pretty much. It's so when I do have the energy, when I have it, it's just extra focus. It's like I am constantly thinking about the angle of my knees because my knees naturally want to turn in a lot, and they want to my toes want to go in, my knees want to go in, and that hurts, and it's not a healthy way of walking. So I'm constantly like actively thinking about turning my legs out, actively thinking about making sure that my left and my right foot are reaching the same distance, that I'm tucking in my pelvis so that way my core is engaged because it doesn't naturally engage. I will naturally have what's called an anterior pelvic tilt where my butt tilts out and my stomach tilts forward. So I have to think about all those things while I'm walking. Now, trying to have a conversation at the same time, can you imagine trying to count to 10 in your head while having a completely different conversation with somebody else? That's basically what it's like. So by the end of the day, when I've run out of spoons, it's like I can't even think about this. Like just somebody just carry me. It's not it's not gonna work
That's
anymore.
unbelievable. Yeah. No, I mean, all of that insight just brings more kind of appreciation for what you have to do as an athlete. And so then as we're watching you perform, it's just like another um, level of understanding, I guess, right? That fans and viewers need to have, which in so many ways makes it cooler for us because we're understanding kind of where you are and what you're dealing with as an athlete.
Yeah, I think it's
The
really cool when you see a lot of Paralympic athletes start posting more about what it's like to be a disabled athlete and kind of what they go through. It's very it used to be very taboo. It used to be like you don't want to talk about it, right? You don't want to be seen as different. But I feel like now we're getting into this space where it's like, no, like let's show them what we're doing differently, what we have to do differently so that they can appreciate and we can appreciate each other more and that they can see what's actually happening.
Yeah, I think that's part of our goal too, as we create more content with Paralympic athletes. Is really, all of your stories are different, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're dealing with it with the disability in different degrees, right? And of course, you're a different person, so therefore, the whole thing is different. We had Muhammad Lana on what was it Thursday? He's a para triathlete.
Okay.
Um, and he has like no use of his left, I think his left leg, and so he basically like on the bike, he's pedaling just with one leg. He
Right.
tried to do it with like a prosthetic leg, and then it was like that didn't work. He was way faster with just his right leg, um, and so just even that we talked about.
Right.
How do you get on and off the bike? How do you, like, let's say you're training and you have to stop, and how do you like unclip and like he's like, yeah, he's like, there's so many things. He's like, I fell so many times when I first started doing this. It. So, have you had a chance, by the way, to watch some of the other events?
I like in the stadium. Yes.
Yeah,
Most of my events have been like in the beginning of the session. So when I've done my cool down, I'll like sneak out into the stands and I'll get to watch the other athletes competing and stuff, and it's been really cool.
yeah. What was your favorite experience that wasn't your own?
Oh my gosh, Beatrice winning a bronze medal. We, it was I think me, Derek Loxodon, Noelle Lambert, Brittany Mason, Jaylene Roberts. Like we all snuck into the front row, right in front of the sand pit. So we watched. So after my race, like I didn't see her first two jumps, but I saw her third, fourth, fifth, and sixth jump. And then when she knew that she had won the bronze, just like the emotions that she was going through, like we were crying for her. And then we all got to give her hugs, and we all got to like take pictures with her, and it was just a really beautiful moment. And it was one of the only moments that I've really been there for another athlete winning a medal. And that has got to be like, other than myself, that's got to be my favorite moment of the games.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. That's cool to hear. And it was, she's like, Bob, I was freaking out. Like the others jumper behind her was like so close in fourth place. She's like, I was just freaking out.
It was crazy.
The long jump is just an interesting beast. First of all, I would hate all the sand, like all the sand getting in your shoes and all that. How do
Don't
you deal?
started on the stand. I called it an but like fun fact, I have hypersensitivity on my legs, so when I was young, I couldn't handle any type of texture on my feet because it would hurt. And that includes the beach. I would cry the minute I stepped onto the beach because the sand, I would feel like each individual pellet and it would be painful to me. So the fact that I'm a long jumper now and that I, on a regular basis, am jumping into a sand pit, and let me tell you, Bob, you get sand everywhere. There's no way to protect against it. The sand will go into it gets in your hair, it gets in your eye, it gets in your ears, it gets in your clothes, it gets in your socks, it gets in your toes, it gets everywhere.
That yeah, I'm so glad you said that because I'm like this event would drive me insane. You're like, but why? What, Kat? Why are you doing that to yourself?
I mean, there's really nothing like soaring through the air and knowing that you just jumped a great jump. There's
That's
nothing
pretty
like
cool.
it is a really cool feeling, and honestly, I've actually come to enjoy rolling around in the sand. I don't know. I've grown to just like it.
What's your favorite thing about Paris? Kind of off the track, outside the stadium, and all that.
The bread. The bread is really good here.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah, I'd say outside of the track and the stadium, the bread. Inside the track, just the energy. I mean, you can hear it.
It's crazy. It is crazy. It's so fun doing this like right here. This is like you can hear them going nuts like constant.
Yeah, they're constantly screaming.
The so I'm gonna kind of wind the show down a little bit because I know you're outside, you're doing things, so we won't go the full hour here. But I do have a couple other questions. So one question, and we kind of hit on it, but not directly. This idea of how, as an athlete, you're able to harness all that energy and all that talent and all that skill at just the right moment that you need it. And so whether it's sprinting or long jump, how do you do that? How do you dial it in right when you need it the most?
I am going to be so honest with you. I'm still trying to figure that out because I myself, like, I PR'd in the 100 and I was really excited to have come away with my best performance ever. But then when it came time for the long jump, I didn't have the performance that I wanted. I didn't break a personal record. I didn't hit the numbers that I know that I've been hitting in practice, and so I'm still trying to figure out how to dial it in. And sometimes it's honestly just luck. Like for me, like I told you, I struggle with the temperature, and it was 80 degrees on September 4th, and on September 5th at 8 a.m. it was about 45 degrees and raining,
Wow.
and
Wow.
my body just shut down on me because it doesn't like when that happens, and I can't do anything. Just I can't control the weather, so I can't do anything to stop my body from responding to the weather the way it did. However, as an athlete, I should, be able to perform under those conditions, and I'm still trying to figure out how to perform under those conditions. So I really wish I could tell you how to dial it in at the moment, but the fact of the matter is sometimes it's your moment and sometimes it's not your moment, and learning to understand that's why when it is your moment, you have to live in that moment and you have to be grateful for it and not immediately reach for the next thing because it's not always going to be your moment.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a great way to put it. The so you're such a creative and articulate person. I have a tough question for you here.
Okay.
What's the one question nobody has asked you, but they should be asking you?
Oh man, that question nobody has asked.
You do a lot of interviews. They ask a lot of questions. It's a lot
I
of
know, right?
repetitive
I've
stuff.
been asked a lot of questions. Let's see. Um, why am I doing this? Nobody's
Okay.
asked me why I'm here. Why I decided
Why?
to.
Okay, let's do it. Why are you doing this?
I'm doing this because when I was a kid, I had nobody to look up to. I felt very alone. As someone with CP, my disability is very invisible, like we were talking about before, and I felt most of my life I felt like I didn't have a place. I didn't have a space where I could be myself. I didn't feel like I was really accepted in any sort of society. I was very alone, and I'm here to show little girls and boys who feel like they're alone that they can do incredible things and they're not alone, and that people have experienced what they're experiencing and it's okay and they're going to make it through it.
That's awesome. That's perfectly said. That is awesome. See, this question always gets interesting answers.
Really?
It does. Everyone's like, oh, and then they come up with a good question better than I could think of. The so Kat, the how we usually end it is we kind of do some shout outs. You could do shout outs to people, pets, brands that you want to get, scooter company. Um, so I'll let you do your shout outs first, then I'll do my shout outs. But then I want you to end it live from Paris. End the show in your cat style.
Okay.
And I'm just going to toss it to you after we do our shout outs.
Sounds good.
You go first on shout outs.
All right. First, I want to shout out Coach Mack for helping. I want to shout out Coach Crawford for working with me for the majority of the season. Shout out my mom and dad who have been with me every step of the way. My dog Ava, who's also disabled. She's missing a leg, so if New Low Pet Food, you wanna give us some help there. I would love some help with my little disabled other half. I shout out Celsius for getting me through this competition and Coca-Cola for providing the water because it's been a hydration station. I want to shout out my brother who surprised me by flying in for 48 hours right before his birthday.
That was really cool.
That was probably one of my favorite moments. And I want to shout out my old Taekwondo Academy Unions United Martial Arts for giving me the discipline and the confidence to take this step. My home team, the North Jersey Navigators, the Scooter Company, and Nike for giving us these really awesome outfits that we get to rock in.
That's cool. That's cool. My first shout out is to you, Kat. Thank you for coming on the show live from Paris. Hey, that's pretty cool. And all you've been doing and all you've been competing, I really appreciate you coming on the show. For us, a big shout out to Vizio. So if you have a Vizio Smart TV, you can actually watch a bunch of the world's greatest content on that platform. So it's embedded into their TVs. We're looking to expand that more and more. Big shout out to Curiosity Stream, another streaming company. We're going to do more and more work with those guys. You can find our show, The Science of Movement, on both those platforms. And then another big shout out to Hospital for Special Surgery, HSS. They were our sponsor on the Science of Movement show. Looking to continue that show in lots of other sports. So yeah, those are all my shout outs. Now back to Kat live in Paris to close out the show.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching live in Paris. I hope you have an awesome day. Thank yourselves and just enjoy every moment.
All right, see ya.